Welcome back to Chow Time Pods. Your host, Red. I got a video today from HL Talk That Thought. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. I really appreciate that. Let's get that chow. Chow time.
Why does everything feel so hard? I still feel like 6 years out from my divorce, my deconstruction, and 5 years out from learning of my neurodivergence, and 3 years out of learning my very much likely being on the spectrum, that I still am trying to figure out.
Is she speaking English, guys? Am I like too dumb to understand her like sentence structure? Like, does she get those things 3 years ago and she's dealing with them now?
Who I am. Life was simpler when I saw life as black and white, good and evil, in and out. And I understand the comfort that people would draw from that. From that hard decision to walk away from my marriage, I really had no idea just what a tower card moment that would become. And if you know, you know. And then dating also was a nightmare because people are initially attracted to me, but then I'm too intense. Then I come across too strong. And I don't know peace.
You don't. It seems like you truly don't. This is why you probably divorced, and your husband, your ex-husband, is probably experiencing peace now.
I'm really struggling this week. I'm really trying to figure out at 36 and a half who I am.
Welcome back, family. Today we are going to review this 36-year-old modern woman who decided to leave her husband to go find herself and her so-called happiness. Before we enjoy some tears of regrets, let's first check out this clip where she exposes herself on her Disney princess syndrome and how she was confident that divorce was the best choice for her.
I've been betrayed. That is what ran in my head just over and over and over and over again when my marriage was crumbling. And as someone who grew up the good Christian girl who tried her best to do everything by the book, leadership positions in the church, in youth group, campus ministry, leading Bible studies.
It doesn't seem like it, girl. It seems like you were a feminist type that wanted to, control things. So you went for leadership positions in the church, which usually women don't do.
Poring over the scriptures, crying over worship songs. I felt so betrayed that my marriage was crumbling. I waited until marriage. I had my V card when I got married at 24. And part of me did think that there was this quid pro quo. You live the good Christian girl life, everything will be fine, everything will be taken care of, you get your fairy tale happy ending. And even though I still love a good Disney movie, I definitely can look back and think like that is what I wanted. Snow White was my favorite Disney princess. Not anymore. I wanted to be taken care of and be saved, really. I wanted to be saved. And
saved from what? From what? Was there an evil queen after you? Were you getting poisoned? Like, were you getting... Was there a woodsman trying to hunt you down? Like, what the hell are you talking about?
It took me a long time before I realized no one was going to save me. Anytime I set somebody else up to save me, I was going to be disappointed, and I had to save myself. But I just keep going back to the betrayal and wanting everything to be different. I didn't want to get divorced. I didn't want to get divorced, but I could not see a path forward in that relationship. And that's not me speaking ill of my ex. It is saying that I walked into that partnership blindly, just so badly wanting somebody to save me, someone to hold me. And once I actually began to get to know myself, my real me, the me that's always been there since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, and I actually began to love her and want what's best for her, I knew that that relationship wasn't it. And even though he couldn't see it at the time, I hoped and I prayed that eventually one day my ex would be grateful that I did that as well. Because I know it seems like a selfish thing to ask for a divorce, but truly, truly, the song that kept coming through was that, I think it's Bastille, I want you to be happier. I want you to be happier. I really played that on repeat during that season because it wasn't something I just wanted for myself. I wanted him to be happier too, and I knew that I was hurting him in that decision, but we were not going to be.
How diabolical is this? Her trying to
be happy. So was I the perfect wife? Absolutely not. I was young and dumb. But I had good intention. And from that hard decision to walk away from my marriage, I really had no idea just what a tower card moment that would become. And if you know, you know. Just everything crumbling away. Lifelong friendships, people who've known me half my life. I call it the forced rebrand because you will have to redefine who you are when everything that you have clung to as a part of your identity falls away. And that's when the deconstruction began.
In this woman's eyes, it is everybody else's fault but herself. It seems like everything just happens to her, and apparently, she has nothing to do with the situation she finds herself in. On second thought, I do think that this woman is probably lying about getting married as a virgin, and here's why I believe that she might be lying. Most women that got married virgins don't really talk about it. They don't even...
Yeah, I was gonna say that. It is kind of weird that she flaunted that. Like, most women are not gonna... I still had my V card. Like, at least say it that way. And I was like, oh, I was a virgin at marriage. They might say it that way, but the way she was flaunting it made it feel disingenuous.
And bring it up to prove a point because it is really something that is secret and close to their hearts. But on the other hand, I have realized that women who always talk about getting married a virgin or being a virgin to prove a point usually lie. And that is why they always feel the urge to use their V card every time to prove a point. This woman talks about getting married a virgin on her page like 1,000 times. So, fellas, when a woman keeps on bringing her virginity to you to prove a point, just know that the chances of her lying about it are pretty high. This woman has been...
It's a good lesson that HL is talking about right here. Thank you, HL. Like, yes, the more a woman tries to prove that she's this or that, the more likely that she might not be.
Talking so much shit about Christianity. And when some people in the comment checked her, she almost cried. Check it out.
Once upon a time, I was a good Christian girl. I got married a virgin. I went to seminary. I led Bible studies. I shared my testimony in front of thousands. I was in praise teams that sang in front of hundreds and in front of thousands.
Congratulations. We don't care.
I spent all of my free time with Christians, whether studying the word with them, whether living in community with them.
But yet you still chose divorce. That's the part that Christians are looking at you sideways on.
Whether volunteering with them, setting up my church, tearing down my church, serving our volunteers. I read the Bible cover to cover.
I'm going to say I highly doubt that because I don't think people read it like that, cover to cover. They'll read it, but I'm not saying... Why are you always lying?
I don't appreciate the assumptions about my ignorance and or Brits. You don't know us. You don't know our stories.
We don't have to know you. We just know your actions, and we can judge you upon the fruits of your labor, like God says we can.
I did not ask for my deconstruction.
Yes, you did.
I didn't want it.
Yes, you did.
Life was simpler when I saw life as black and white, good and evil, in and out. And I understand the comfort that people would draw from that. and I cannot unsee what I've seen.
Now she's saying that the religious people are ignorant because they only see black and white. You don't think they see gray at all? You don't think that they have moral dilemmas in certain things? You're crazy.
And I've had to go through immense therapy for my nervous system to be comfortable with the shades of gray that I am now operating in. But life is more free. Life is more loving. I feel more compassion for my neighbors globally and locally, rather than being quick to bypass their pain and assume that it is somehow their righteous punishment for their godlessness.
It definitely seems like you were a bad Christian if that's exactly what if you were projecting if that's what Christians think of other people, then yeah, it seems like you were a bad Christian.
If you can tell a tree by its fruit,
yes,
the fruit of the church is rotten.
The fruits of your family is rotten.
She admitted herself that life was much easier and simpler when she was a Christian and married. And you will see for yourself how much she is lost, confused, and still doesn't know what to do even years after she left Christianity and her husband on the last clip. But before watching how much her life is still miserable today, let me show you her points of view on friendship and community so that you guys can see how ignorant this woman really is.
No, because the day that you realize
she's making boba look bad. Put the boba away!
That your Christian friendships and love is conditional upon your behavior is the day that the mirage starts to fall. My oldest friendships that I thought were based on so much more than just our shared faith crumbled when I asked for divorce. I had no idea that the same people who would...
Yeah, because you broke something that is so sacred to most people in that religion that it's almost irreversible. That's the problem that you don't seem to understand. Again, you were Christian. You should understand being married and getting divorced is a huge no-no.
Create a prayer chain, a casserole dinner train for someone who had broken a leg or was going through cancer treatment would absolutely, positively abandon you and act like you're poison the moment that you ask for a divorce.
Because you kind of are. Once you do, and then you start infecting all the other women within the congregation, poisoning their minds about how lonely and single life is better, how their husbands are miserable, and it starts cascading the effects down the church. That's why they treat you that way. This is why women like you get shunned in the church and in society, because they don't want others to follow your path.
I did not ask for my deconstruction. My deconstruction happened to me because when your whole support system, your whole sense of self, your whole sense of like culture, because it's the only music you listen to, it's the only friends that you hang out with, it's the only media that you consume. When all of that is stripped away and you become an island practically overnight from the people who a week prior called you family, you start to question everything.
Yes, my dear. You are now a poison to your friends because you went against a fundamental belief of theirs.
Correct.
If your life decision...
See, I'm not even religious, but I can understand the thought processes of people in religion and how they would see some of these things. And it's crazy. I guess I internalize a lot of things. Like every decision I make, I try to internalize it to see, was it a good decision? Was it a selfish decision? Was it a good decision that was better for the overarching, community, or is it better for me? I try to think about these things.
Decisions go completely against what I stand for or believe in, I also will probably cut you off, or at least keep our interaction to the bare minimum. Guys, this woman is even trying to convince herself that the concept of breaking up your family is made up. Check it out.
I have 6 seconds before we leave for dinner, but I wanted to share this theory with you. I feel like the broken family label is actually a hangover from that puritanical, toxic Christianity theology. And here's what I mean. The church is really big on self-sacrifice, right? And sacrificing to the point of giving up anything for the sake of the Lord. And that includes giving up your happiness. One of the things that we say inside of the church is God wants you to be holy, not happy. So I think part of the strategy behind the broken family label is used to basically try to talk people out of getting a divorce because they don't want that label. They don't.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's for. Like, you're barely figuring this out now? Like, how are you a Christian? Again, you're the one that was, leading Bible studies and doing all these things that you don't realize they do these things to shame people, so it prevents people from doing it. Yes, that's exactly why they do some of these things.
Don't want to feel like they're breaking their family, and they don't want to feel like all of that shame and guilt. Because, of course, fear, guilt, and shame are the three largest tools the church uses to control us. Honestly, I think divorce was the best thing my parents could have done, and I know that divorce was the right choice for me. We're not broke.
This woman just wants to be free and do whatever she wants with absolutely no responsibility as most modern women do. They just want the benefits of freedom with absolutely zero accountability for their actions. Now let's see where all her talking and bragging about how much divorce was the best decision ever has led her today. Let's watch.
Everything feel so hard. And when I tell people that I'm diagnosed ADHD and completely convinced that I'm on the spectrum but have not been formally diagnosed, people are like, well, you don't seem neurodivergent.
I'm actually diagnosed dyslexic. I did not know this until my teachers told me in elementary school. I was like, oh yeah, you were dyslexic. I was like, oh, no wonder I was struggling to read certain things and mix things up all the time. But I've never used it as a crutch. I've never used like my messed up arm as a crutch. Who cares about those things? You get over it, you build better skills, or you do something that doesn't use your weak skills so much, right? So reading and writing, my weakest skills. I don't really do much of those things. I talk and I do other like physical things because those are what more I'm good at. But you just got to go find those things.
You don't look neurodivergent, so it must not be that bad. My brain, I don't know peace. And I'm really trying to figure out at 36 and a half who I am. Because I remember being told to my face that I was too much. Being told to my face that I was a polarizing character.
You seem like you're too much in a polarizing character, actually, just from watching a couple of these clips that HL has put on you. You seem like a miserable person.
Or that I was patronizing when I was actually...
Yeah, you seem like you think you're better than everybody for the way you speak about how you know religion, how you led your congregations and things like that. But then when you actually are speaking now, you're barely figuring out the fundamentals of the reasoning of why everything was in your religion. It's just so crazy.
Actually just trying to compliment them, or that I was stuck up, when actually I just am a word nerd and very
you're stuck up for sure.
Particular about the words that I pick because I don't want to be misunderstood, or I've lost friends because I've said something or done something insensitive, and I wasn't trying to be insensitive at all. I was trying to explain myself, and I probably was over explaining myself, and then it makes people feel weird. And then dating also was a nightmare because people are initially attracted to me, or maybe initially, they're into my like allure or my charm or my charisma or whatever. And
it's called your looks. You think they're into your charm and charisma? That's what's probably driving them away.
I think it's cute and quirky, but then I'm too intense. Then I come across too strong. And truly, the thing that drove me away, that stopped me from continuing to grow my community on here, even though I absolutely loved my community on here was my inner thoughts, was constantly policing myself, was constantly...
That's what they should do. My inner thoughts constantly police myself. There's plenty of things I want to do, but my inner thought says don't do them because you're probably gonna put yourself in a bad position if you do. So don't do them. That's self-policing. Yeah, okay. In my head, I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't go do those things. I want to, and then my inner head is just like, stop it. Get some help.
Afraid of misrepresenting, and when we're talking about big things like spirituality and deconstruction, I don't
even know what deconstruction is. I'm not exactly sure what definition she's using for that or what that entitles when it comes to a person exactly.
Personally responsible for you and your spiritual walk, and I don't want to misspeak, and I'm not a doctorate. I don't have 5 theological masters, and there are people on this app who can speak so much more articulately about what they know about the Bible or about Christianity, or they studied apologetics, or they were a pastor, so they spent every week talking about the scripture, and none of those things are true for me. I never felt Christian enough to be a Christian because I didn't start going to church regularly until middle school, so all my friends knew all the words to Larry and...
See, now she's talking about how she wasn't that into church. She's just barely a little kid, barely learning everything. But earlier you were just so adamant how much you were in the church, how religious you are, how much you move things, how much you were teaching and all this. Like, what the hell are you talking about now?
What was the one? VeggieTales. They knew all the words to VeggieTales and I didn't. And I felt like a late bloomer to Christianity and then a really late bloomer to life because of how much I had to figure out about the world at 30. And here I am at 36, and I'm still trying to figure out, who am I and how do I express myself? And what is my mask? Which was me just trying to fit in this world. And what is really epiphany? And is that enough? And I know if it was you sitting across from me, I would hold your hand and I would tell you it was, but I'm really struggling this week. And of course, the global environment does not help. As a highly, just sensitive person and empathetic person, I feel just completely
empathetic. Okay.
Torn apart today for many, many reasons. It just feels so destabilizing to the nervous system. And I wish within all of that I felt super anchored and connected.
Like the things that she used, the terms like super, to my nervous system and all of this stuff. Who talks like you? Like, this is like, you're not trying to be precise with your words. You're trying to be over condescending to people and make it seem like you're better than everybody by using extra vocabulary that I don't even think belongs.
To me, and I still feel like 6 years out from my divorce, my deconstruction, and 5 years out from learning of my neurodivergence, and 3 years out of learning my...
Okay, so I do get it now. So it's been 6 years since she divorced. It's been 5 years since she learned about some of these things. Okay, got it.
Very much likely being on the spectrum, that I still am trying to figure out who I am. And if I learned anything this week with losing this app for all of 10 hours, I don't feel comfortable even being there. I don't know. I still don't know if I'm going to post this.
Obviously you did.
I have missed this community so much. It was such a gift to grow a community so quickly.
Oh, she's talking about TikTok.
Around
right?
Other people who felt my pain.
No, you're just, misery loves company. You created misery. Everybody loves it, so they come along and listen and watch your misery. That's what they're there for. They're not really there to support you much or anything. They're there to watch your misery.
Trying to figure out who we are, after our whole like basis and thesis for life and existence is kind of stripped away from us. And
it wasn't stripped away. You gave it up. You threw it away.
I've said this before and I'll say it a million times. I didn't ask for my deconstruction. Stop blaming me, people.
It's you.
For a part of my life that I don't know that I would wish it on somebody, which is the other thing. I don't want, by me sharing my experience,
like, no accountability whatsoever,
to put somebody else in that destabilizing space. I don't know. There's a lot of gifts and there's a lot of freedom and there's a lot more love and a lot less shame on this side of things. But your relationship with certainty is altered forever. And you really are building everything brick by brick up from there. So it's a trade-off. Anyways, I'm going to try my best to just not worry about those naysayers that are living in my brain, to not worry about views, to not worry about anything, and to just come on here and share more, because I think now more than ever, we're going to need to be here for each other.
It is weird to me. Do they do this for the views? Do they do this for attention, or do they do it for financial reasons? I did this for mostly financial reasons, but also because I wanted to help. I was also going through the things that most of you guys go through, right? And I thought maybe sharing my own experiences and me talking about things would help me out and help you guys out. But money was a big aspect of things. That's why I produced so many videos, because you guys enjoy it. I never thought of it as I'm just doing this just to share. No, I wanted to be successful. I wanted to do a lot of things about these things. So I cared about my views. I cared about a lot of these things, and I adjusted everything about my channel to make it slowly a little bit better so people can enjoy it. And I hope you guys do.
We're going to need to have this space, and I will not, what is it called, comply in advance by pretending that us as a community, that we're not real.
You're kind of
and
not.
That it doesn't matter, because we are real and it does matter.
I always feel like TikTok communities are always so fickle, but that's me.
This woman is still struggling with the basic things in life, and still she doesn't know who she is. So she left her marriage and her faith, thinking that she would be happier just to make herself even more miserable. She is now on antidepressants and still crying about how hard life is. You just can't make this shit up. Fellas, protect yourselves at all times against these types of women. And above all, don't forget to keep your head up, focus on your goals, and everything else will follow. I love you, and I appreciate you for all your support.
Tell you the truth, HL, we love you too. I think a lot of my community, a lot of the viewers love your channel. They love seeing this archives of women's misery, of how they just ruin families. And it teaches men very, very well. These women, with their videos, are teaching us a great deal of knowledge. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. I really appreciate that.